Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between trigger rate and trigger point when it comes to static payment mortgages, also known as variable rate mortgages or VRMs. Let's go. So, to understand all these terms, let's rewind and look at the types of variable mortgages there are. First of all, there's fixed rate and variable mortgages. And in variable mortgages, there's ARM and VRM. I have a video on that, so just search that up on my channel. But just a brief summary, adjustable rate mortgage is a mortgage product where your monthly payment will change every time the prime rate changes, even by a little bit. But the variable rate mortgage, your monthly payment won't change when the prime rate change. VRM, variable rate mortgage, is also known as static payment. So ARM, adjustable rate mortgage, will be non-static because your payments are changing every time prime rate changes. So this one will be VRM, static payment, means that if prime were to go up, your payment would be static. However, the difference is that when interest rates go up, more of the money goes towards the the interest. And if interest rates go down, more of the money, your monthly payments will go towards the principal. So now this is where we introduce the terms trigger point and trigger rate. Trigger point and trigger rate only applies to variable rate mortgages or static payment mortgages. So let's explain what it is. So in many mortgage brokers' careers, talk to many, uh, they haven't ever seen mortgages reach their trigger rate. However, recently, as of mid 2022, the prime rates have went up from 2.45 to around 5.45, a very big leap. And many people are now reaching this, what is called trigger rate or trigger point. So what is the difference and what does it mean? So I have an example here from TD. Let's look at a customer who has a variable rate mortgage or static payment mortgage of $2,000 per month at uh, an interest rate of 3.5%. 1,500 is going towards interest, while $500 is going towards principal. Now let's say we see an interest rate hike of 0.5%. So now the customer's new interest rate is now 4% because they're not on fixed. So the prime rate still changes. However, their monthly payments are still the same. It's still 2,000, and the principal is now 250 instead of 500, and more money is going towards interest. And as we see another rate change, we're going to start to see interest be actually more than the payments. So every month, their principal actually is going up by 300. So they're actually getting less equity on their house over time. So as interest rates go up, we're going to reach the first trigger, which is called the trigger rate. Your trigger rate is the point at which regular payments is no longer enough to pay all of the interest you've accrued since your last payment. In other words, your entire mortgage payment is going to interest, and none of it is going towards principal. And now here's the main difference between trigger rate and trigger point. When you reach trigger rate, there's no intervention necessary. There's no action you need. But when you reach a trigger rate, usually your lender will reach out to you to just give you a warning that we're reaching trigger point soon. And I'll explain what that is later. But at trigger point, there will be a mandatory action. When you reach your trigger rate, your lender will give you a call and tell you that interest rates are going really high, and pretty much right now, you can carry on with the same monthly payments, but every month that passes, you might be owing more money on your home because um, your your monthly payments are almost not even enough to cover your monthly interest payments. So you're actually getting negative equity. So what should you do at this point? Well, it depends on many factors. For example, if interest rates are very low for some reason and you have a alternative source of investment where you can get higher return, maybe you just go ahead and let the mortgage get bigger because mortgage is usually one of the lowest interest loans you can get. And also, if it's just an investment property, you can write off the interest against your rental income. So interest can be your friend sometimes, and especially when it comes to mortgage interest, because, like I said, you can write it off, and it's the lowest interest you can get. So let's say, the interest, even if the mortgage interest is 5%, and you can get 10% from stock market or a business investment, maybe you can leverage that and just do nothing at your trigger rate and just let your mortgage keep getting bigger until we reach the trigger point. The trigger point is not a set number. Many Every mortgage contract is different. So there isn't a single overarching rule that defines a trigger point. It is defined in your mortgage contract. However, a common trigger point is when the balance owing on your mortgage exceeds the amount you borrowed in the first place. So here's an example. You took out half million on a static payment mortgage or VRM, and after you reach your trigger rate and paying the balance down to 490, uh, there's more interest than your payments. So you're gonna reach your trigger point when you get back to half million because they agree only to lend you half million. They don't want you to keep going up and up in the principal. So at this point, pretty much when you reach a trigger point, there's nothing you can do. You have to make, uh, according to your mortgage contract, you can't just keep leveraging or ignore it. You have to do something. So what can we do? There are a few things. I'm going to start off with the most common thing. Number one is to extend your amortization because by extending your amortization, you lower your monthly payments. However, that means you're paying more interest in the long run because you're borrowing money for longer. However, I feel this is the most common solution because if you can't afford, if you can't afford the high payments, just extend your amortization is okay. But just know the risk, such as higher interest and paying off your mortgage later. But for me, I am a little bit different than a lot of people's thinking in mortgages. I don't really like paying off the mortgage because it is a source of low interest loan, which means it's a very good source for leverage. So even if I have a lot of cash, I wouldn't pay off my mortgage because I feel I can get more return in business investments or stock market investments even. Even with the high interest rates today of 5 or 6%, you can get maybe 8% in the stock market in the long run. So that's 2% leverage. You can Google what is leverage if you don't understand. But it's basically borrowing money at a cheaper rate and then getting a higher return. And the difference is leverage. Another thing you can do is increase your monthly payments. So as a result, you at least pay off the interest every month. You might not be paying off the principal too much, but the bank might force you to do this. And these options will be provided to you by your lender, and not all options will be available. Maybe you can't extend your amortization. You need to check your contract. You can also just make a lump sum payment to lower your mortgage balance. It will bring you back to under your trigger point. So for example, in this example above, let's say you ended up being just a bit 5,000 over $5 million because the interest was higher than your monthly payments. Then what you can do is just make the $5,000 payment, and then the lender will be okay as long as they're not lending you more than what they agreed to, which was $500,000. And finally, you can also one more option is you can convert to a fixed rate mortgage so that there's no more surprises in the future. This is good if you expect there to be more interest rate hikes. And one example is uh, if you are very good at predicting the future, maybe inflation is still very high and you really expect Bank of Canada to increase interest rates further, then maybe you can convert to a fixed rate mortgage. However, charges may apply. So check your contract, check with your lender. Every contract is different, every lender is different. And one thing to note with this is more fixed rates are generally higher, so it's gonna definitely increase your monthly payments, but it just avoid more surprise in the future. So this one, if you can't already having trouble paying your mortgage, this might not be the best solution. Extending your amortization is most likely the best solution for people who are cash tight or people who want a high mortgage, high interest payment to write off rental income or have other alternative investments. If you don't believe in the stock market or you don't have any other good alternative investments, then maybe your best bet is to pay off the mortgage. But it depends on your beliefs and your investment goals and your risk tolerance. Just remember that whenever you leverage, you are also taking on a high risk. It's high reward, but also high risk. So it depends on your stage in life, how much responsibility you have in terms of if you have savings and if you're living paycheck to paycheck and you have a whole family of dependents who need that income, I wouldn't advise you take a risky strategy. But if you're going for highest expected value and you don't mind maybe potentially losing money to make the most money, then leverage might be the best idea, which is to just get the highest mortgage, don't pay it off, pay as little as possible. But this is just kind of my own investment philosophy. I'm someone who look for higher expected value and maybe slightly higher risk, and to get the tax benefits of a higher mortgage, uh, writing off the interest. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. And if you have any questions, my contact information's in the description of the video, and I'll be happy to chat with you. All right. I hope everyone gets rich with real estate. Take care, guys.